Possibly. I've got the, looks like I have the spinning pinwheel of death. So this video, as it gets started, I want to introduce to you just the basic of Flash, so that you can get started on the 2D animation while I'm gone. When we actually start this assignment, I'm going to try to familiarize you a little bit better with the tablets, with the pens, how they work. I'm also going to teach you the 12 principles of animation. 12 principles of animation are critical when you're animating anything, including this little ball bounce. But I just wanted to show you how you can quickly use Flash to start creating simple ball animations. And I'll let you play around with this for the day, for a couple hours, just to get a good sense of it. Some of you have used Flash for varying projects. For instance, in multimedia classes, I know they use Flash and do some motion tweens and do some other fun stuff. We are not going to use Flash as a developer tool. We're not going to use anything fancy in Flash. We're not going to use tweens. We're simply using Flash as a method of creating multiple frames without having to create a new Photoshop file each time, or a new piece of paper. When you get started in Flash, just do ActionScript 3.0. It's going to give you this basic little square. Now, your animation is essentially, we're going to do a 5-second animation. In Flash, you do things at 24 frames a second, which means for a 5-second animation, you take 24, you times it by 5, and I believe the answer is 120 is the number of frames. To get us started, we're just going to start with a few simple frames. So to create frames, you're going to hit F6 on the keyboard. If you hold F6 down, it just creates new pieces of paper. Each time you see one of these little dots, those are called keyframes, but just picture them like new, different pieces of paper. So I've got 50. I'm going to start with 50. And I'm using a mouse, so you'll have to forgive me. There's a way to use an oval tool. I don't want you to do that. They look fake and stupid. The only way to get this to look good and to work is to actually draw it by hand. Now I'm going to draw this with a mouse, and so it's probably going to look ridiculous. But nevertheless, I'm going to start on frame 1. I'm going to grab my pencil or my brush. Pencil tool is kind of weak, so I'm going to grab my brush tool, and I'm just going to draw a circle. With the mouse, it's not as easy as you might want it to be. So I drew a circle. Then I go to the second frame. Well, now wait a second. I can't see my first frame. And part of animation, part of why we have all these light tables all over the place, is that we want to be able to see the frame before it. So in Flash, we use what's called an onion skin. If you come right here into your timeline, this little guy right here is called your onion skin. If you click on it, it's going to show you a lighter version of frame 1. That's just so that you can see the position, so you can start animating and do things a little bit better. It's the same as a light box. Okay, so I go to frame 2 and I draw a slightly different ball. Oh God, you're teaching me. Then I go to frame 3 and I draw a slightly different ball. Then I go to frame 4 and I draw a slightly different ball. Then I go to frame 5 and I draw a slightly different ball. Now I've already broken one of the rules of animation in a thing called arcs. This doesn't have a very good arc, but again, this is more just as a basic brief introduction. It doesn't go any deeper than that. Okay, so I go to the next frame and I draw a ball. And then I go to my next frame and I draw a ball. And I go to my next frame and I draw a ball. And I go to my next frame and I draw a ball. Now I'm using my mouse, and so my ball's size is changing pretty drastically, and that's going to happen with frame-by-frame animation. But you're going to see, your eye's going to let you forget about a lot of what I'm doing, and it's going to look really pretty. So I'm just working this, and literally it's just a frame at a time. I just go over and I draw frames. When I'm done, I hit return, and that's my animation. And when you look at it, you can kind of forget that my ball changes in size a little bit. But it's a nice, fluid ball bounce. And essentially, that's what we're going to do for our assignment. Granted, I've given myself way too many frames, but until I can introduce to you the principles of animation, this is enough information to get you started in Flash. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch up when I get back.